So great, this is video number 1. You've got here, you've made it, and the really important thing is that you've taken action. You've started on day 1. Now day 1 is really the foundation of this program. It's what we want to be doing every day properly. So what is this topic? It's about oxygen. It's about our breath and how we breathe. So the reason why this is so vitally important is because it will decrease the amount of stress that you have in your life. And it will increase the amount of energy, the level of clarity, the joy, the creativity, and it will allow your body to thrive instead of just surviving. So how this works from a scientific perspective is that when we take the oxygen in, the cells use the oxygen to convert glucose into energy, which is called ATP. Now, when we only have a limited amount of oxygen in the body, the cells actually start to clump together. So they actually move more slowly through our bloodstream, through our arteries, through our veins. So consequently, we're not moving as fast, we don't have less energy, right? The next reason this is vitally important is because basically our lungs are responsible for actually eliminating 70%, yes, 70% of toxicity from the body. So without breathing properly, we are actually accumulating more and more toxins, which is essentially what aging is. So this is why it's vitally important. Okay, so the challenge today is that we're not breathing properly. We're breathing in only into the chest area. Now, when we're young, when we're first born, we are actually breathing into the abdomen. We're taking full breaths into the lower parts of the lungs and the upper parts of the lungs. But then when we get into adulthood, we tend to forget how to breathe properly. So we're just breathing into this chest area here. Like that. Now the challenge with that is that basically the richest form of blood flow occurs in the lower parts of the lungs. So what we really need to do is oxygenate fully into these lower parts. So that's into the abdomen area. So it actually feels like we're breathing into the belly area and not so much into the chest. So our chest should be still, our shoulders should be still, and we should just be expanding the abdomen. Okay, so, and there's another reason why that's important is because when we're just breathing into the chest, we're only filling the top part of our lungs with the oxygen. So all the air that occurs in the lower part of the lungs becomes stale. So it's just, there's no oxygen in there. So we're just not getting that oxygen into the bloodstream. So we want to be taking some really deep breaths. So right now I've got a great exercise for you to do. I want you to go away for 1 minute, put 1 minute on the clock, time yourself and just breathe normally, how you would normally, and count how many times it takes you to take a breath in and out. So one breath would be, so, and it doesn't matter, just want you to breathe normally. So maybe just get out of the frame of mind of just thinking about breathing at all. Do something else for a couple of minutes and then just stick the 1 minute on the stopwatch and count how many times it takes you to breathe in that 1 minute, and then come back and we'll see you then. So how did you find that exercise? It's pretty interesting. Well, just first of all, let's just find out how many breaths you took in a minute. So was it around 15 to 20? If it was, I can tell that you might be pretty stressed out, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we've just forgotten how to do it properly. So now what I really want to do is teach you how to do it properly. So ideally, what's a really good count to have is that we aiming for about 4 to 6 breaths in a minute. Now you might think, oh my God, how am I going to do that from doing like 15 to 20? Well, it's actually quite simple, and it's more simple than you might think. But what's important is just to get that rhythm right to start with, and just to breathe in the right way. And it can be feel a little bit strange at the time, and that's in the beginning, but that's just because you may not be used to it, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So what we want to be doing is, what I want you to do after we've finished here is to go and stand in front of a mirror literally for a couple of minutes. And what I want you to do is stand with your shoulders apart and your shoulders leg width apart, so your legs and your shoulders are aligned, and just to stand straight in the mirror and just put your hands on your belly like that, and relax your shoulders and your chest. And then just to take a breath into the abdomen. So just feel what it feels like to breathe into the belly. So if you want, what I find is really helpful to get that rhythm is just to make the sound that you take into the abdomen audible. So literally, so you kind of imagine like a yogi doing their breath, and you know the kind of sound that a yogi makes when they take a deep breath into their abdomen. And if that's a little bit too tricky for you still, then one way to do that is actually to lie on the ground, and just lie flat on the ground with your back on the floor, and just get that sensation of the belly moving in and out without the shoulders moving up and down. So you don't want any movement in the shoulders, you don't want any movement in the chest, just this area. So then I want you to actually time yourself again, and just time yourself, put 1 minute on the clock, and just breathe. See if you can get your breaths down to 10 to start with, and just count that and feel what the sensation is to take 10 deep diaphragmatic breaths into the abdomen within a minute. So aim for 10, and then aim for 7, and then aim for 6. So all you've got to do this is just do this for 3 minutes a day. I say, so 1 minute when you get up, 1 minute just before you eat for lunch, and 1 minute just before you have dinner. And just do this breath pattern for 1 minute. And I just want you to get that sensation right, and aim on reducing the number of breaths that you have in 1 minute. And then what you want to be doing is ideally consciously doing this. So when you're working, whenever you think about it, is just do that breath pattern, slow yourself down. Whenever you're feeling stress coming on, then just do that breath pattern, just do the breathing, and then it can just, magnificent things happen. If you have a big problem, then the number one thing to do is just to do that breathing exercise and ask yourself a great question in the process that leads you to that solution. So that's it. That's all I've got to share with you today. But just remember, just to review, so from now on, just go and stand in front of a mirror, practice what it feels like to breathe into the abdomen, get that sensation, and then be doing this 3 times today. So if this is in the morning, you're watching this video in the morning, so do it right now. Number 1, do it before lunch and do it before dinner. Go away and do that, and don't forget to come back tomorrow for our next video, which is an incredibly important topic too. And thank you for watching. Well done for getting here again. This is such a great place that you're in, and just go for it with this breath pattern, and I'll see you tomorrow.